So what we have here are chickens that are coming home to roost for Rolex and for other watch manufacturers who, in my humble opinion, have been treating your safety with contempt for a very long time now, closing their eyes and ears to a worldwide problem because it suits them and not their customers. Money before safety, finance before families. And I'm here to tell you that this has to stop, and it has to stop sooner rather than later. Before it's all too late, stick around and stay tuned, and I'll tell you all about it. Look, for various reasons, we all know that the luxury watch market and sales are down. And like it or not, people are currently afraid to wear their watches in big cities right across the world. It's not just a London thing. Now, we can all ignore this problem and pretend that it's not an issue and that it's not happening in the hope that it all goes away. But the problem is, we all know that that won't be the case and that things are actually getting worse. And indeed, it's been another enlightening week for me here after some have criticised me for nothing more than reporting the watch crime facts and for revealing that mainstream media aren't interested in the truth, only their politically correct narratives, celebrity victims and spin. And of course, none of that is going to get us absolutely anywhere. So today I'm going to tell you why I feel that Rolex and all of the major watch manufacturers are largely to blame for the hideous rise in global watch crime, which has led to a number of deaths and hundreds of people being robbed, traumatised and relieved of their watches, along with their dignity and their self-respect at the same time. But I really should add that this video is not, and I repeat, it's not an attack on any of the manufacturers. It's actually a warning and a cry for help and an appeal for them to finally see the light before irreparable damage is done to the entire watch industry. So where did this all start, and why do I lay so much responsibility at the feet of the manufacturers? Why do I have so little respect for multi-million-dollar companies run by privately educated people with their almost poetic French accents, but in reality are completely and utterly out of touch with the real world and its problems? Now, I think it was back around 2011 when Rolex, in their wisdom, suddenly decided to cease public access to their official lost and stolen register. Prior to that dreadful and somewhat pivotal decision, buyers of any pre-owned Rolex, and that includes private members of the public like you, and pre-owned watch dealers like me, could simply call or fax Rolex with a request for an official, quick and definitive lost and stolen check. It was brilliant. And this was a hugely successful and absolutely fantastic system. And you'd usually get confirmation back from Rolex within 10 or 15 minutes, maybe a bit longer if they were busy. And it meant that they were absolutely on top of watch crime and indeed the black market for their products. Not only were they protecting us, they were protecting the industry and indeed their own brand. And this clearly, very clearly, kept watch crime and fraud in check. After all, what was the point in stealing or trying to sell stolen watches that were so easily traceable from the moment that they were stolen? And I remember quite clearly the day Rolex ceased access to that lost and stolen register, and talking to a few dealer friends of mine, and we all agreed that this was an absolute disaster for everyone, perhaps except for Rolex themselves. So why would it benefit them to do this? We can only guess what was behind their decision, and why did it prove to be a choice that inevitably lit the watch crime fuse and set a trend that shows no signs of going anywhere soon. Well, Rolex said at the time that it was a simple administration decision. I found that hard to believe. But here's an extract from an article that I wrote for the watch business now more than 10 years ago. And it read as follows: I believe the reasons behind the death of the lost and stolen register are a little bit more sinister than simple administration issues. There's little doubt in my mind that Rolex's decision was taken in an attempt to push Rolex buyers through the door of their authorised dealers and away from the doors of the independent retailers, and to encourage the watch buying public to buy new rather than used. And I guess you could say, who can blame them? But if my theory is correct, that's a very short-sighted attitude. Certainly not one fitting of a world-class brand that prides itself in being amongst the very best. Let's get this right. Rolex is only interested in two things. One, selling new watches, and two, servicing old ones. That's how they make their money, period. Now remember, this was written long before the CPO program was introduced. I went on, but there is a very strong flip side to that argument. These days, dealers like myself participate in extreme due diligence to ensure that all the watches we buy are absolutely clean and come from impeccable sources. This includes ID checks, ID presentation, history, previous sales records, etc., etc. All of which is fine. But what about the poor unsuspecting public? And I think this last sentence shows you how things have badly progressed. It really hits home. I wrote, there have been several cases where people have been caught out when a simple phone call would have saved them a lot of time, a lot of trouble, heartache, and indeed a lot of money. And you may have noted there was no real mention of watch theft or watch robbery. Why? Because back then it didn't really exist. Even I, back then at least, was more concerned about fraud and scams rather than street robbery. And this just goes to highlight the outcome when there's no official Rolex lost and stolen register. Even I didn't see this coming, not at least to the level where we're at today. And to be fair, it's clear that Rolex didn't either. They knew what they were doing, but just like me, I very much doubt that they could have predicted the dreadful effect that it's had. So where are we? Well, it's never too late to put a wrong right. It's never too late to help other people, and it's never too late to make the right decision. The reversal of a bad decision shows strength, not a weakness, and it shows the world that you care. And there's no doubt that right now the luxury watch industry could do with a little love from the public. Things aren't great, and whether Rolex, Patek, AP, Richard Mille, etc., like it or not, their products are now being seen as a potential mugging waiting to happen, and that's not a good look for anyone. And whilst we can all be in their corner, ultimately it's them that must take on the fight. The fact of the matter is that in big cities right around the world, people are taking off the luxury watches from their wrists, and people are frightened to wear them, and that's not good for any of us, least of all the manufacturers themselves. For more than 10 years now, I've been making a bit of a nuisance of myself where Rolex are concerned, not because I don't like them, but actually because I love them. And I can tell you all about the word on the street and the general feelings of the watch buying public, but only the manufacturers themselves can save us and ultimately themselves from the inevitable disaster that draws nearer by the day with every watch crime report that hits the media. What a shame I haven't got a posh, sexy French accent. Maybe then they'd have listened to me years ago. Now, before I go, here's an analogy for anyone that doubts my theory. If you took away the ability for people to tell if a car had been stolen, do you think car theft would go up or down? Do you think that sales of stolen cars will become more attractive and a more lucrative business? And do you think that not being able to tell if a car was stolen would improve the public safety or make life more dangerous? And surely when any manufacturer of any product spots a safety concern, isn't it their responsibility to help put it right for the safety of their customers? You know the answers, and so do they. And I'm really honestly sorry to keep picking on Rolex when I talk about this problem, but they are the most important watch brand in the world when it comes to watch crime. They are the brand that's always in the news. They are the ones that need to take a lead, and they are the ones who can set a precedent and a good, caring example for their community. I believe this has now become vital for their own long-term future. Rolex, please help us put an end to this watch crime epidemic. Help us to help you, because actually we're all on the same side. And my fear is that if you continue to ignore this unquestionable ugly problem, that within say 5 years or so, no one, and I mean absolutely no one, is going to want to wear one of your watches in the first place.
Are you looking to sell your luxury watch but want a smooth and easy transaction? With well over a decade's worth of experience, here at AJ Chrono, we're highly respected and internationally recognized within the industry. Selling your watch couldn't be easier. Simply fill out the details of your watch on our website and receive an immediate valuation. With our secure and insured collection service, we make the whole process safe and simple from start to finish. You can of course also come and drop the watch to us in store. Once we receive and inspect your watch, payment will be made instantly into your bank account. For a peace of mind, please check out our flawless 5-star reviews on Google. We look forward to hearing from you soon.